Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Great Malabite Efeni, whom I have not seen for a few days. I see you.
Yes, the return of Ruben. Yes, you're welcome.
Remember Ruben, what Roberti says in the novel of the same title.
Now we start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story. Yes, the lead story there. Tinubu, Atiku, Obi face judgment day. That's what the report there is saying. And, of course, we are confident judiciary won't fail Nigerians. PDP, LP declare. Well, today, the justices of the Supreme Court, 7 of them so picked to deliver this judgment, haven't heard the presentations of the parties, the petitioners, Labour Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate, and of course, Peter Obi, and the APC, and the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, also that's made their case. Now is Judgment Day, and a number of newspapers are making this as their lead story. The Daily Trust newspaper, Judgment Day for Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, as Supreme Court rules today. I will win, President. I have made my case. Ex-VP, we are confident of our candidate's victory. LP, security beefed up at Supreme Court complex. While the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, 8-month battle over Tinubu's victory ends today as Supreme Court decides Atiku Obi's appeals. New Telegraph presidential poll, Judgment Day for Tinubu, Atiku Obi. Of course, below the photograph on the front page of the New Telegraph, Pandev renews agitation for restructuring. Charges Tinubu to revisit 2024 confab report. Accuses North of colonizing NMPCL. Well, a good time to actually bring up the issue of restructuring because the APC and, of course, President Bola Tinubu have been champions of restructuring. But as we have seen in the past, they only do something about it when the election is close. Like the case of setting up the El-Rufai committee ahead of the 2019 polls, and they came up with recommendations, but nothing was done over the next 4 years when President Buhari got re-elected. So early in the day, reminding President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that the issue of restructuring still very much in the front burner, and a clamor that 2014 confab report, where stakeholders of the Nigerian polity agreed on a number of issues, that report should be revisited. Daily Sun newspaper, Decision Day, suspense as Supreme Court rules on Atiku Obi's petitions. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, presidential tussles, 7 Supreme Court justices who will decide Tinubu Atiku Obi's fate. And of course, they are lined up there talking of Justice Uwani Abba Aji, Justice Inyang Okon, Justice Inyang Okoro, yes, Justice Ibrahim Saulawa, Justice Emmanuel Agim, Justice Tijani Abubakar, Justice Adamu Jairo, and of course, Justice Mohammed Garba, the 7 justices who will be delivering that judgment today. And before long, I'm sure the verdict will be out when they deliver that judgment. Now, the Guardian newspaper, CSOs demand pensions law review over 2.4 billion naira yearly pay. Talking about ex-governors who are collecting pensions from their states and are now ministers or serving at the highest level of the federal government. Of course, the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, one of such past governors, who is receiving pensions from his state, Benue. Of course, there's Oyetola, there is Dave Umai, there is Nyenson Wike, and of course, there is Simon Lalong former governor of Plateau State, who is Minister of Labor, amongst other governors. 7 of them, plus you add the Secretary of Government of the Federation. This is the amount, 2.4 billion naira to be collecting yearly. And the CSOs are demanding that state pension law should be reviewed. In fact, the pension law states that for you to be entitled to pension, you must have worked for government for at least 10 years. But these governors, they serve for a maximum of 8 years, and they are entitled to humongous pension as well as perks that include houses in Abuja and their state capitals. Now, the Punch newspaper, diesel, jet fuel, rising prices threaten industries, airlines, diesel, aviation fuel sell for 1,000 naira. Factories shut in Kano, Ogun, Anambra. Others, telecoms operators use 40 million liters of diesel monthly. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria warns against hike. Of course, the Nation newspaper, Shetima, farm centers in 774 local government councils to take off soon. Vice President woos investors with Nigeria's 70 million hectares of arable land. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. New York Times, GOP elects speaker, ending bitter feud. Party rallies round Johnson. Little known congressman from Louisiana after 3 weeks of turmoil. Yes, Representative Mike Johnson has been elected as the 56th Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives after what was clearly an infighting within the Republican Party, GOP, the Grand Old Party. But Mike Johnson, a conservative to the core, Trump man through and through, an architect of the effort to overturn the 2020 election, and of course, a religious conservative hardliner opposed to abortion rights, gay marriage, and homosexuality. He's the new speaker. But will he be in a position to unite the Republican Party? That's what the Washington Post is also reporting. But the Times of London is reporting the Times of London is reporting. Let's start with the Daily Telegraph then. Yeah, the Daily Telegraph of UK. We are preparing for a ground invasion. Hamas is doomed. That's Israeli Prime Minister making that. The Guardian newspaper fears worsening humanitarian disaster in Gaza as fuel runs out. The Independent newspaper of UK, Sunak urges Israel, pause conflict to let aid into Gaza. Prime Minister plea fuel runs out, but he avoids for a ceasefire. Ruben, welcome, Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo.
The humanitarian crisis going on in the Middle East, which raises a very serious question about the challenges that are faced in the province of international humanitarian law or the law of armed conflict, about how you can enforce the laws. Now, this body of laws emerged as a response to the First World War, to the Second World War, to the disaster that Henry Dunant witnessed in 1929 in northern Italy, leading him to write the book called The Memory of Ceferino. And then the establishment of the Red Cross, and then you had the Convention, 1899, 1907, and then you had, the formulation of the 4 Geneva Conventions of 1949, and the additional protocols of 1977. What is the whole objective? Is to say, yes, war can happen, but there must be no descent into barbarity. What we're witnessing in the Middle East is a complete descent into barbarity that is overwhelming. And you have the Prime Minister of Israel coming forward saying that Israel is unleashing hellfire and that the people of Gaza Strip, they are doomed. No, that is not what international law recognizes. That's not the agreement. That's not the spirit of the United Nations. Israel is now saying that, in fact, if the UN officials, if they criticize it, it will deny them visas and punish them along with the people in Hamas. So you then ask yourself, what kind of world are we in? What is the purpose of the United Nations? What is the purpose of all those legislations about how to promote peace in the world and ensure that there is the doctrine of proportionality, and that there should be doctrine relating to, the kind of necessity, distinction, principle of distinction between war targets, military targets, and civilian targets. So this cultural policy from Israel has to be criticized. But in England, I see that Prime Minister Sunak is afraid to ask for a ceasefire. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, is not confident enough to take a firm position. Even the Americans are very hypocritical in this war. It's not for us to take sides. It's just for us to say there must be access to humanitarian aid. A corridor must be provided for people who are hors de combat, as it is called, who are out of combat, to be protected.
It's not a matter of taking sides. Okay. You cannot use denial of food, water, medicine on civilian population as weapons of war. So I think that has to be stated very clearly.
The blackmail on Antonio Guterres. What Antonio Guterres said in a speech a couple of days ago was absolutely the reality of the conflict. But there's been a lot of blackmail to twist the things he said, which is not right, which is abhorrent.